I just wanted to say, first off, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, it's my
And
pleasure.
the the funniest thing is, I just loved our talk last week so much. You were spinning gold. You were absolutely on fire, and I failed to record it, and my friend just told me, you know what, just go in there and say you're gonna fall flat on your face and you don't care. And don't try to make it like it was last week.
Well,
And,
you know, even duds. Remember milk duds when you're a kid? See,
oh yeah.
even a dud is a sweet candy, huh?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I did want to pick up at one point. My friends asked me to ask you a question, a few questions, and I thought I would start with those because I asked you last week, and it just seemed like a great place to start. Um, they want to know what you mean because everybody's reading your poetry and listening to your links and stuff, and you use a lot of the reoccurring words like reflections, echoes, wetness. Could you elaborate a little bit? What do you mean by these three reoccurring words: reflections, echoes, and wetness?
Usually I use the word echoes of echoes of echoes of echoes, or reflections of reflections, or it's the wetness in wet, the wetness. What I'm pointing to is that there's no source, there's no original sound, there's no God, there is no maker of all this, that everything that seems to appear self-arises and simultaneously self-releases.
Yes.
So it never actually crystallizes into anything. And that's why we call it a dream. It's not really a dream, it's just a way of referring to that there's no original source, there's no writer, there's no creator, there's no doer. There's no emptiness out of which everything arises and goes back to, there is no one or two or many or none.
Yes.
Not this, not that, nor both, nor neither. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about, and this is something I want to get your take on. And I know we touched about it before, but the marionette without the strings, the lack of cause. Can you describe what it's like to try to articulate that to somebody that doesn't quite understand uh, the lack of dimension, the lack of time and space, the lack of cause and effect?
Well, all qualities and characteristics, all measurement is made up. Like there's not a mile that exists out there, that's a way to show it, right? Yeah. Miles don't exist, they're made up. And so in other words, all things are made up. They're mental fabrications. I just wrote a poem this morning. It's like the clouds don't have any ropes and there's no scaffold needed to hold up the sky. It's all a bunch of things that are tied together or interconnected or interwoven because there are no separate things. And there's no one big thing. There's really no way to explain it. But when there's a belief in separation, then it just feels like there should be a source or a cause, or if there's thought, then there must be a thinker. And if there's feeling, there should be a feeler. And if there's all this, well, something should be making it happen. And maybe it feels like they're making it happen. Maybe it feels like life is happening to them, So that belief in separation creates the feeling and the tension of separation. Separate things, separate events, separate you.
How does I yes, I agree. How does a thought appear to you? Does it appear to you as it did before the shift, as if like you are most people would say that the thought appears coming from a source, coming from a physical brain and what have you, that whole mechanism of mind, brain, self, and that circle of that really doesn't seem to have a beginning or end for me. I was wondering, how does thought appear to you? Does it appear coming from a place?
Well, no, there's no separate thinker. There's no one separate from thought reading it. There's no beginning or end. I often point out, you can't say as it's happening, this is the beginning of a thought. This is the end of a thought. This is the beginning of a moment. This is the end of a moment. It's just impossible. There's no thinker of thought. There's no one listening to thought. There's no one reading it. So apparently thought seems to appear all by itself, and it even creates itself, right? It calls itself thought. It's not really doing that, but every word seems to create things. And then there's shared learned words. This is our world. This is a worded world. This is the shared dream of separation. This is where we live. This is what we are. We are the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. Another question I got was, somebody asked me to ask you if you could tell them, how does the dream character express a lack of separation, or if this is the totality and this is all a dream, how does the dream character speak of it? And is that actually happening? Are there people talking? Is this dream actually happening? What is your, are you actually
Am I real?
yeah,
is this real?
are you how can the dream talk about the dream? I think she was asking me to ask you.
Well, I'm as real as you, Howard. I'm as real as tomorrow. We are as real as love. I mean, this is as real as it's gonna get. How does it feel? It feels real, realer than real. It feels surreal. It feels unreal. Just no labels are even really looked for, because there doesn't feel like there's someone separate from feeling who would ever want to pinpoint it or capture it. So how does a dream character do anything? Well, the dream has always done itself. So the dream character isn't doing anything, never did. It's like, I'm not making my legs walk.
Right.
Just, I'm not making the sun come up,
Right.
Yeah, it's just all the piece of itself. So it all does itself, but it never is anything. So it's completely not solid or liquid, or it's not even in it. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I can't show it to you, it's too far away, but the first giant sunflower I've seen this year over here. It looks like it's about 12 inches across. How beautiful. Yeah.
I love sunflowers are my favorite flower.
I love sunflowers too. Yeah. I don't think I answered the question, but is that good enough?
Well, I like the poetic way in which you paint the picture of it. It can just really not, you can't answer it accurately. I don't think it's I can come up with a logical framework in which to say the self has no beginning or end, and all that stuff, and then space and time seems like separate from the circle of self to the linear time and space, and that seems like dimensionality and an individual navigating that. But the whole thing being the story of a circle self and a linear dimension separately navigating each other or experiencing each other. But it's I like the way you said it better.
The dream dreams itself, because there is no other, there is no better, there is no more, there is no next. So, and you can't say this is it, because there is no this and there is no that and there is no it.
Right.
Yeah. So nothing can be said. Every word is like a razor. Yeah. The net of words is what our world is. This net of thought. But thought doesn't really circle around itself.
Yes.
Yeah. There's no edges to it. There's no beginning or end. And it has to constantly go to describe our world.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that's it. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it. It's almost as if thought tells a story of a beginning, a middle, and an end without the beginning, the middle, or the end. It has no, you know, example of what it's saying. It just saying, it's just saying words without actually showing the source for a thought, the path for a life, and the death or the end of the sequence. It's just the appearance of a sequence without it actually starting or stopping. It appears
Yeah.
to me. But I was the reason why I got into this is because I was listening to um, from the Silhouette of Echoes earlier today and yesterday, and it's amazing. And thank you so much for doing that on the links, the audio links. It's you're just
Oh
beautiful.
yeah. I've
You're
got to
just
read some
amazing.
more. Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
from this, there is a reference that you made already today, almost to it, but the what are the ropes of tomorrow? I thought that was one of the funniest, or not the funniest. I thought it was the most profound line. The ropes of tomorrow. It's almost like I'll let you answer that question. I know what I thought about, but
I don't remember saying it, but I could rap on it. I guess the ropes of tomorrow is what seems to bind a you in a today, right? The
yeah,
rope. Right, right. Belief in tomorrow, which never comes. That hope and fear of a never arising next, which is torturous, I think, for some of us, you know. I have that video, A Life of Fear, that I'm glad I made when I did, because it's harder and harder to remember what it was like before. Yeah.
you were talking about that last week, and it's such an amazing story. The after the shift, I think I've heard as long as 2 years afterwards, you had this a really tough time adjusting to the that tearing away of the identity and losing
No, that was the year before.
the year before the shift.
Yeah, after ease, utter ease,
Yes, I was
utter
wondering.
amazement.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm glad I misunderstood that, because that's my experience. There's no. It's not so much afterwards. There really is an ease to it. There's no
Oh
responsibility.
yeah.
I mean, you literally
Spectacular.
lose. Yeah, it's
The
but
amazement has never stopped. The
and it
amazement.
never. And the irony of the shift is that the seekers as well, or speakers will say that no one is enlightened, and that is true, of course. And enlightenment doesn't even exist in some respects, if you want, however you want to look at it. But the irony of it is that the irony of it is that you lose yourself, and you're in the entire story just enlightens. The entire story of self and other just becomes a game, kind of, in my guesstimation.
Yeah, enlightenment is an empty prize for no one. And yet, for the apparent character afterwards, it is a life of sublime ease and utter wonderment that is unending. It's just a continual first and last kiss. It's a constant union of that which was never apart. It is it's sensuous, and this aliveness which is always so vibrant and precious and smashingly gobsmackingly beautiful. Yeah, for the apparent character, which is all we can ever know, because I am this imaginary character. Life is more wondrous, more wondrous than I could ever have believed or wished for or longed for. And yet the apparent circumstances of the life story haven't changed, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, wow. I mean, if it could be given away, I certainly would, if it could be, but it can't, because it doesn't really happen to you. But the story resumes, and then, oh my gosh, because it is this devastation and the complete obliteration of you and your world and all beliefs about everything, the good ones, the bad ones, everything, and even the belief that there is a you to have a world, right? It all is all gone. Even the belief in emptiness.
Yes.
Yeah, so it all goes, and it's devastating, and it hurts like hell. I would never wish that upon anyone that year, although it was like down into the depths of despair and then up into unutterable joy and then slamming down and up, that year. But afterwards is just sublime ease, gobsmacking wonderment. Just it's just so fucking beautiful.
I find you smiling a lot, and you have this big, beautiful smile. I run into people all the time, speakers that are fairly unimpressed with the entire situation, and really seem to be caught in a mundane kind of situation that doesn't seem to make them happy at all. I mean, I personally don't feel. I mean, I know I'm a character, but that's the beauty of it. There's no reality in the first place. We're just appearing as these, whatever you want to say, and the thing is that alone to me is the magnificence of it. That there is no meaning or purpose or reason for it. That it is what it is for its own sake is why it's so beautiful. And
yes.
and for me, it just, when I lost that whole tether for a reason or a meaning or a need to know an answer or to have even having a question, it's just absolutely irrelevant. And in that understanding, quote unquote, I just find it, my jaw's on the floor constantly. Do you wake up in the morning and just smiling? Because I'm grateful every morning. Every day I wake up and I'm like, this is amazing. I can't believe it. Do you feel that way?
The awe is utterly unending. Yes. That's that's everything is subsumed in this awe. It's really it's like love too. It's awe, it's love, it's wild, crazy, beautiful love. Yeah, I would never call it, like some people do, ordinary crapshoot awareness, or I mean, you know what I mean, what you hear, but there maybe those are just more dry people.
Well,
not everyone's
thing about
skipping down the sidewalk, skipping.
Well, the thing about the ordinary comments, I mean, I can see what is meant by that. It's ordinary, but isn't that the magnificence of it? This ordinary everyday experience that really, like you said, the kiss going through a kiss that never was separate in the first place. The magnificence of just the ordinary act of getting a glass of water is absolutely mesmerizing to me. I just, so even the ordinary to me just makes me.
So maybe it's the erasing of, maybe it's the merging of sublime and ordinary, and the spectacularness is that nothing had to change for this to happen, like suddenly rainbows don't have to be in the sky all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. All the conditions that used to be put on what you thought was wonderful, beautiful, or who would be loving, love, all those conditions are completely gone. Like I remember when the day after this happened, we were driving back from town, and I used to think, oh, I had to look out at the beautiful canyon, these mountains, which are so gorgeous, in order to feel good or whatever. And I found myself looking at the back of the seat in front of me, and I was just crying because it was so beautiful, like a plastic chair, in the back seat of a car. Because it's not conditional. It's just spectacular, all of it. Every feeling may come, and there's no trying to pinpoint a feeling. It's like everybody knows that this is magic. Everybody senses that life is magical, but trying to capture it seems to push it away, trying to know it, to understand it. because what accompanies that also is this great giant maw of emptiness that is your heart, that is this longing that's trying to swallow you, and you're running away from it and running away from this feeling, this intuition that there really are no things, that maybe that you really are not a solid, stable thing, that maybe nothing is solid, maybe it is all just totally slippery. And this great maw of emptiness rises out of your heart and just, like a horror
Yeah.
movie, it skins you alive and there's nothing underneath. Rips out all your guts and, knives, it hurts like hell.
The
Yeah.
monster under the bed is always there, There's
That's good.
always that fear that things can get really bad really fast. And it's the fear of love. I mean, in many respects, as you said, it's unconditional. And if I may, much like love is unconditional and scary because you have no control over it whatsoever. There's no, any, and you open your heart to it, and it's, unconditionally, I love this. And yet it could turn on you on a dime, and everything can go really south really fast. And everything you thought that was peachy keen and dreamy can suddenly become ominous and stormy and brutal. And that's the beauty of it, the beauty, the fear.
And the real beauty is that no one chooses who to fall in love with, right? No one chooses to fall in love. Yes. No. The beauty is that we don't really know what beauty is. The beauty of love is we don't really know what love is. Yes. Because it's just a word that you can't get outside of it to see it. So I think it is a huge fear of falling deeply in love, because deeply in love you lose yourself, and so that's really scary. There's a huge fear and a longing. I think a lot of people have a fear and a longing for this knowing of utter complete devastation and emptiness. There's kind of like a longing for it too. There's kind of a for some people, I guess, seekers trying to run away from it, but you really want to turn around, like, is this really chasing me? Is it love? Is it emptiness? What is it? And if you turn around, suddenly there's a mirror, and you just crash through it, and every shard is just just hitting you, ripping you apart, blood everywhere. Yeah.
Well, it's much like love also, in that in the love of an individual, let's say, just matters of the heart for the individual, just trying to make an analogy here, between just this being unconditional love and the love of an individual of another. Like the fear of being in that situation where you are so comfortable that the ordinary with your lover, with the one that you love, you're knitting, you're watching TV, you're picking your toenails, whatever it is, you're absolutely doing nothing at all, but completely vulnerable in the respect of you trust this as it is, to be as it is, and you will love it no matter what. Even no matter what happens with your partner, you love them. It's almost like picking up another, it's difficult to explain, but the mundane within the love is actually something that one of those things that you don't even notice until it's gone. You know what I mean? And I don't know, when it's just this, it just seems like the ordinariness of it, I guess, can seem mundane, but at the same time infinite to me. It's just infinite. Everything is just timeless, and it's
infinitely intimate, intimately infinite.
And it could be as simple as sitting on a couch, watching Bonanza. It does not have to be, maybe in that respect, I'm trying to hold an olive branch out to the ordinariness type people. But personally, it literally, it does not take much for me to just drop my jaw in just absolute gratitude and for nothing. for nothing at all.
No, the circumstances don't have to change in order to feel like everything is spectacular. You know, that it obviously we're all wired differently and have different and speak of this differently, which is good. You know, what if everyone
Yes.
sounded like Tony Parsons or something, you know,
Yes.
which a lot do, by the way, but
Yeah. Well,
but
please go ahead, please.
oh, but just, I mean, I'm just gonna talk about it like naturally. I'm not trying to fit any mold or, you know, sell any tickets, or I wouldn't mind selling some books, but I've kind of given up on that.
I love that you're writing though.
Yeah, it's fun. I love writing, but it's like, it's just so exceedingly wonderful and beautiful, and to fall in love with everyone you see. You know, you look in their eyes, and you know, everyone is this human heartache, really. You know, everyone is loved and known love and lost love, and everyone feels this utter aloneness because we all are completely utterly alone. You know, we can't ever even know what red looks like to our husband or wife. I mean, we can never know what life is like for another person. And this is something that, you know, I was realizing when I was like 8. It's like, wow, I could never know what another color is for someone else, you know. And that, I think, set in the Great Depression that lasted for 12 years or more, really, is like when it was like an avalanche of concrete covered my world and shut out all the light. So we all know this, and you look in anyone's eyes and, oh my God, they're so beautiful. And it's so easy to form love. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, the funny thing, somebody told me the other day, oh, you just learned this. This is a teaching that I've been trained to understand. And I said, well, the funny thing about that is I don't know another person in the appearance of this happening, not happening, that says it exactly the way I do. Now, I do share a lot of the same phrases. I do appreciate all the speakers. I love all the assortments. But the beauty of it is, now, for all the similarities that some of us do have, nobody is exactly alike.
I say the same words as a lot of people. We all do.
We all do.
You know, there's only a handful of words, you know. Yeah, of
right.
course.
But
I'm not putting anyone down at all. So.
No, but at the same time, what I was trying to say to this fellow was, if it was if I was being trained, and if all of this was just learned, then wouldn't I be sounding exactly like another person? Like, wouldn't we all be exactly alike? Wouldn't we all be saying the exact same thing? Whereas I don't know another Nancy, nowhere near it, right? I don't know another Tony. I don't know another Eni. Every one of them has their own different little style. And that the irony of that is that none of them exist as individuals, but they all have their own song in a way. I mean, what do you think about that?
It's a beautiful chorus. I honestly don't have time or really the interest in listening to people. I listened to you and Andreas just because I love you both, but I'd really normally don't ever listen to anything, really. We come in all flavors, and some people resonate with some and some will with others, and some listen to everyone. And since there's been so many more talks on YouTube and stuff, people write me and say that's almost all they do is listening to these non-duality talks.
Right.
You know, and the hunger. I remember that hunger, but those things weren't available, at least as far, I don't know, maybe they were 12 years ago, all those talks and stuff. I don't think so. You know, so I just had my books. I just had a few Zen books and Dzogchen books, and you know, that's what I had. But when you hear something that resonates, it's like you will do anything to listen to more of it. You'll crawl across the desert, you know, naked in the hot sun to grab some kind of a book or a teaching or something that resonates somehow with you. And that there's such a wide variety is spectacular, really, because it looks like there's a lot of seekers, and I'm glad that people can peruse the chorus and look for notes that resonate.
Along that line, what I find amazing about your stuff is that let me just let me put it to you. Let me ask you this question. Do
Okay.
you find yourself caught in your own story I mean, like, I personally find myself like getting frustrated and angry. Like if I have to move a lot because of my physical limitations, if I have to stand up and move, and I get really irritable, and it's really difficult for me to just not get caught up in that whole story of sensation and pain. Now, what do you
Well,
do, or
there's
do
no one
you ever
really,
get caught
no
up in
one,
that story?
there's no one getting caught up into it. It just, you just seems that maybe you notice it more or something. There's no one separate from the story to get caught up into it. So I don't really understand that. It's just the story, I'm just the story, and it looks and feels like anything at all, right? Like
Right.
I'm working out to try to be able to do a pull-up, because a couple of years ago I started out with like 15 push-ups. Now I do 200, and I do all these light weights. And I thought, well, I can't do a pull. So I got this contraption for the front porch, and I'm just hanging there like this, And this week I can actually drop down and pull myself up like that. So I'm getting better, and I do this
Yeah.
other thing. And so yeah, it hurts, but I don't know. Didn't we talk about pain the last time? That when I broke my arm.
No, I didn't. I
Oh,
don't remember that one.
well, gosh, about 7 years ago, I fell and I broke my wrist in several places, and it was just the wow experience. It was not like, oh, I shouldn't have fallen, or it hurt so much or anything. It was just the wow. I mean, I guess it was painful, but it wasn't like before when felt like there was someone separate from the pain, and it
Yes.
swelled up, and my husband brought me some ice, and I just thought, oh, it's just, sprained or whatever. And my husband convinced me to go to the emergency room or the hospital the next day, and they go, oh, it's all broken, and I can't believe you're not screaming in pain. And it was just, I actually was kind of laughing because it was such a different experience. Before, it would have been, I'm in pain, I have to get rid of it. I mean, there's nothing wrong. Pain is a good signal to help you, figure out what to do. But it was just so different than before. It would have been, I'm in pain, I've got to get rid of it. Woe is me. I shouldn't have stepped there. I shouldn't have done that. Or, that was all, the story was gone from it.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is different. It is different. Yeah, I'm not sure what you asked.
Well,
we're just
I guess, well, what for me, it's kind of like, it's paradoxical, but I try to become the pain itself, just like immersing myself in the story of, of happiness, when it hurts, when a body part hurts. And for example, instead of running, if it's one of those things that's just too much, I can't ignore it. Paradoxically speaking, once again, I become it. I try to just become every aspect of it. And I guess that's leading you into another question of say, techniques or methods for the character. I mean, all of this doesn't really mean anything, but how about this? Instead of asking you that, I'll ask you this. Since you're the Enlightenment story, since the lack of separation occurred to Nancy, I believe it was the kitchen story, where the hand became the rag, became the sink, became the wall, became the room, became
the space. Yeah.
Well, since that story, and I would be glad to go through that as long as you like, but since that story, do you ever get what I like to call the slip, in that you slip from this character, this dreamlike character of separation, and get another, like a glimpse of the infinite, for example. I'm using drunk language, please pardon the paradoxes, but do you get that slip and that snap back, that snap back to self, and then the fear of the loss of identity and the snap back to separation? No, you don't get that.
No. Mm-mm. It is always obvious and has been always obvious since that very moment that there are no things whatsoever. There are no things. And that's why I think I'm walking around in constant amazement. It's like there are no things, and yet,
Right.
wow, look at the mountains and the clouds. And so there's both. It's like living between love and nothing at all. There's this dream of love, this worded world where I live and dance and twirl around, this is, and there's also simultaneously and inseparably, obviously, not even nothing. So it's so spectacular, this aliveness which seems to occur and do itself and look and feel like anything at all. Wow, wow, wow. And simultaneously, whoosh, not even nothing, not even emptiness. Not even emptiness. Because I meet so many people, they're looking for emptiness. They're trying to get this emptiness, and I'm like, I don't have this emptiness. I can't give it to you.
What would you say that's, could you speak on that? What would you say that story is? That it seems to pervade. It had pervaded my life. The whole seeker speaker kind of thing. There's always that story of seeker speaker, and the question, the Q&A. I mean, do you want to elaborate, or do you care to elaborate on that story, that aspect of what is
the seeker speaker? I don't give public speakings with questions and answers. So
yes.
Is that what you're talking about? Or
well, I'm talking even a one-on-one, even people that ask you, just anybody that asks you questions about the lack of separation.
Oh yeah, I talk to people all the time.
Right.
Yeah, I love talking to people. It's wonderful. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I love the intimacy. Yeah, it has to be intimate or I don't talk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because this is more intimate than the tongue in your mouth. This is more intimate than the thoughts going through your head. This is the very heart of intimacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I used to say, I guess I still repost it every now and then, is my job is to set your heart on fire and block all the exits.
Could you speak on that? Or could you expand on that? The
emptiness, the poetry.
Well, do you ever have a resonance with a seeker, and say, watch a seeker bloom, so to speak,
or crash
or
fall? Yes, I have seen people fall and crash. It's beautiful, very beautiful. A lot of people I've seen I talk with have glimpses, and they seem to fade away. And a lot of times they blame me for the glimpse, and then when it goes away, they blame me. And I never hear from them again. No, but I have seen people fall and crash, and I didn't do it. I just happened to be there, but I have seen it happen. I've seen people's worlds fall apart, utterly, completely, devastatingly beautiful to watch. Just wow. Yeah, I have seen it.
Do you get a feeling of resonance with the speaker or with the seeker? I mean,
no, I resonate with everyone. Anyone who wants to talk with me, I talk with them. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Could you just, if I asked Andreas this one too, but could you describe this moment? Could you describe this moment?
The moment, there is no separate moment, and it exists only in description. Yeah. It feels like love flowing into and through love. Yeah.
Find you smiling. Well,
it feels like my big flat feet walking along in the sand, looking at the storm that's blooming, and it's actually looks like it's raining over there. I didn't bring an umbrella. The squirrels have been running around chasing each other. Oh, they're over there now. As I walk and talk with you, the river's flowing. I get to look over and see you and see your beautiful face and say, hello, I love you.
I love you
What
too. I love you
what
with
could
all
be
my
better?
heart. Well, how about this? You mentioned India a couple of times, and it sounded to me like you were well traveled, particularly in India, Bali, maybe. I
We
don't know,
spent
maybe.
we spent probably 15 winters there for 4 to 6 months each time, but
Wow.
not as seekers, more like fun lovers and travelers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we used to see seekers though, all these people dressed in white, talking in hushed voices, talking about enlightenment, and I think, gosh, that sounds really hard. I don't want to do anything like that. Where's the bar?
When you say there, this is something that it might be a little more basic, and I think you've already alluded to it a couple of times, but you use these words, and a lot of people don't know what it means, believe it or not, and have asked me to ask you, what do you mean by there's no better, more, or next? What does that mean to you?
There is no other, better, more, or next. Pretty clear.
So there's this moment is not a moment. It doesn't have what appears to be a memory, is the illusion of the self traveling through a past, culminating in this moment and desirous of a future. And that future is based on this illusion of a character that experiences time and space.
Yeah. But it's really interesting because people can, look and go, well, that's true. I can't find anything other than this. I can't find a next, right? But it doesn't erase the belief in it. So I don't know what crashes all of that. I don't know what, takes away the tent peg so that the tent of your world collapses. I don't know what does that. Here, what it was there was just a sudden realization, like a bolt of lightning right through me, that I realized that everything I had ever done in my entire life had not brought me one bit closer to this elusive goal, which at the time I wouldn't have called enlightenment or anything. I just would have called it love or peace, or in the end, I was trying to grok the sameness of inside and outside. So I would meditate, and go, the wind blows, my blood flows, and I did lots and lots of, towards the end, lots and lots of meditation, of watching the breath and just constant. And it suddenly occurred to me, one of the most intimate moments of my life up to that point, with starkness and the starkness of nothing I've ever done, nothing. And I, like, for a month, I was just stunned, completely stunned. And that's when the roller coaster year began. And then about a year to the date where that happened, then the shift happened. So, but it was, what caused that? I mean, there was nothing going on in my life that was difficult. There weren't any deaths or marriages or divorces, nothing. So it was just something happened, and I don't know what it was, but it was clearly a demarcation of, oh my God, because people say, oh, just let go, or, you can't let go. Or they'll say, die to love, or, go with the flow, or, let go of your story. Well, you can't, because you are the story. So all of these things that just provide more goals for the seeker, which solidifies the illusion of separation, that they are someone going somewhere or doing something who's going to get something, but there's nothing to get. There's no one to get it. What does that mean? Poetry is meaningless. Maybe that's why people like it, because there is no meaning to it. It just circular words tripping around themselves. And I'll send you the latest bit of my manuscript, which should be out in a few months.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Please.
Yeah.
We were damn it, I just lost it. I just lost it. I had it all formulated and I just lost
Ooh.
it. But the paradox of losing the self, and also simultaneously, as you just said, you are the story. So the story of immediate experience, whatever that may mean to the whatever that may mean, immediate experience, just this, not two, is that of Nancy navigating a life, navigating her way through this dimension of time and space. Now,
Surfing, dancing,
surfing, yes.
twirling down the sidewalk.
Well, the funniest thing about that is, in a way, you talk about aloneness, and I'm really reaching here now, and I'm trying to kind of weave this thing together. But the beauty of what you're saying, what appears in this moment, is that there is this loss of self in an actual sense. As it doesn't, the self doesn't appear any longer to come from a place and in a path going to a destination or a finish line. It's not life as birth and living and then death. It's more of a, in a weird way, the story of aloneness, as you were saying. But it's not even that. I know I'm missing the mark here. But what I'm trying to say is the paradox of the loss of the self as it appears, but yet the story of the self being everything that appears simultaneously. It's, you know what I mean? It's as you said, it's the thought stream that is the appearance, or that is all that is, but yet the lack of a tether to any kind of objective reality into where to make that story actually true. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just playing with words a little too much.
Well, all there is this zing of this immediacy, this aliveness, seemingly appearing without time or timelessness, right? Without space or spacelessness. And before, the story was like you're walking a tightrope, between birth and death. And you're terrified of reaching the end, and you're terrified of falling off, right?
Yeah.
It's a life of fear. It's a total life of fear. And then it's like, and also you're looking through a tube while you're trying to do the tightrope, and then it's like you do fall and you crash through yourself. You crash through all ideas of time and space, truth and freedom, bondage, everything. And then there's not even nothing left. And yet the story seems to continue. But there's never any, and there's never any belief in it. And there's still beliefs, but there's no belief in beliefs, because there's no belief in the self, which is beliefs, or maybe assumptions about what's going on, like all the stuff I'm learning in school. I mean, everything is like echoes of echoes.
It truly is. I mean, I think I'm resonating with what you're saying, because it is that story, that the echo within an echo, in that there is no floor or place in which to say the story begins or ends. And so you have the belief of a belief, but from nowhere and nothing. And it's just this amazing, just billowing of an undescribable, just appearance. It just truly are no words for how magnificent the floorless floor is,
Yeah. It's indescribably delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the, I guess the simple way, as far as I'm watching your beautiful smile and we're just talking about these beautiful things. And for me, I could do it forever. I mean, I literally love this paradox so much that it almost appears as if the character has created it, because it is the perfection. I can't see it happening any other way. And that is it's one of those things where I catch myself in yet another beautiful story, in that it cannot be any other way, but yet it's not as it appears. And that paradox to me just makes me smile so much. It's the beauty
Yeah.
of that, just the magnificence that you know, I just love the way you present the words. And all I can say is, please keep writing.
I
And
love you too, Howard. I love
oh
you
my
too.
God, it's truly amazing. And
Yeah.
thank you so much
Mm.
for your time. And
Oh, anytime.
I hope we can do it again really soon.
Yeah, we'll have to for sure. Yeah. It's been wonderful. Now I'm trolling down the sidewalk with my flat feet, patting the ground. I do have congenitally flat feet.
You do?
People laugh when I say that, but when I was a little kid, I'm walking on the pavement after you get out of the water, and everyone else had these cute little footprints, but mine were just like.
Is that what kept you out of the draft?
My husband and I were just laughing because actually the Army tried to get me to join when I was 12, and I don't know what happened, a glitch in the system, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the beautiful thing is you were saved by your flat feet.
Yeah, right. I don't know if that works anymore.
Really? Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk again sometime, okay?
I love it. Thank you so much for your time, Nancy.
Oh, not a problem. I love you too.
I love you. Bye.
Bye.